Well, I was receiving treatment in a facility where there was a transition period, and I didn't have a nurse navigator or a social worker helping to guide me through a complicated healthcare system, let alone answer any questions regarding side effects from chemotherapy. I have a 20-year career in health information management, and thank God I have that, because I was able to utilize that to help me. And through chemotherapy, for example, things like just overly dry skin, or when you lose your hair, if you lose your hair, what are you going to use? You don't have any hair, so shampoo might be a little too harsh. So I discovered Cetaphil. I mean, it's an over-the-counter product. And so I just started learning over-the-counter products of personal care items that might help you with the side effects from chemotherapy. Another example is baby toothbrushes. I have a real problem with chemotherapy and affecting my gums personally, and baby toothbrushes, they're super soft. You still have to clean your teeth, and so they just were much more gentler on my gums. Non-alcoholic mouthwash is the best. Mints, when you're getting your port flushed, those things, because the saline and the heparin that they use to flush it doesn't taste very good. So those little details that nobody told me about. And so I make these chemo kits when I hear of someone that they might have a chemo kit, or they might need some help with this, and that they're just sample products that someone may be able to help them with their side effects from chemotherapy, men or women. I was young, I was 33 years old, and I have no family history of breast cancer. I don't carry the gene. I was a runner. I loved my kale, and took very good care of myself. Never smoked, non-smoker. I did all the things that you were supposed to do. I mean, I actually enjoyed exercise. I mean, how bad does that sound? But I loved it. And so I went for mammograms every 6 months. It was the last one of this 3-year period. I was 37 years old, and I just had it, and 2 months later I found my own lump. I found a lump, and working in healthcare and in health information, it is ultimately the patient's responsibility to know what their insurance will or will not cover. So I waited 2 months until I went to see my OBGYN doctor, and she's like, no, we need to get this done. And went in, and turned out, really 2 months wasn't going to make that much of a difference. I had 5 positive lymph nodes, and so what would have been 4 positive lymph nodes. But I was stage 3A, ER, PR positive, HER2 negative, grade 3, stage 3A. And so I started chemotherapy. I had dose-dense ACT. Right after ACT, I went in. It was March. It was March 2012, and March was my healthcare month. That was the month that I did all the healthcare stuff that young women are supposed to do, right? I demanded a mammogram, and the radiologist, he's like, okay, so I know her history. I see something, and I had 2 more tumors that grew during chemo. And so I had to have a mastectomy, a bilateral mastectomy. And so that delayed radiation. I had 35 treatments of radiation, and it was just one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make in my life. And I'm single, I'm young, and I was only 37 years old. And I was on tamoxifen, and that failed. I had a broken rib, and I had my rib removed. I am now stage 4 with metastasis throughout all my body, my bones, and it's the way that it is.
I'm coming in here because you need a hug. But she's a fighter. She's a real fighter. She's not only a fighter for herself, she's a fighter for others.
Yeah.
And she, I can tell, has incredible determination to make a difference.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's a tough battle, and it's an emotional battle.
It is.
And
my life has changed so much, like for the good but for the bad at the same time. And
Tell them how for the good.
Okay, so one of the amazing things is I have had an opportunity to meet other cancer patients that I just learn so much from. I learn from them, and I just really appreciate them telling me their stories, and that's what's fueled me to help with my chemo kits, because it's terrible. It's like you don't have anyone guiding you, and to have just simple products, over-the-counter products to help make things easier. I had to switch from Xeloda, which is an oral chemotherapy, and one of the major side effects from that is called hand-foot syndrome. And oh my gosh, your hands and your feet, the skin, they just fall off. And just lotions. I was a lotion nut job. I had to have just to help my feet feel better. And again, it's just finding the best one. I had samples. I did the samples to try to find the best one that worked for me, and that made me feel so much better. And
I'm listening to you, and you're one patient trying to find out all this information. And that's what's so important, is to share our stories so that we can help other patients going through
Yes.
their journey. And to make sure, if you had one piece of advice that you would give somebody who's newly diagnosed, or a young person who thinks this is not going to happen to me.
Yeah. One piece of advice is, if unfortunately you have this diagnosis, is listen to your body. Your body will tell you when it needs rest, when it needs to eat, when it needs to have comfort, when it needs to be quiet or meditate, exercise. Listen to your body. Your body will tell you everything. And it's one of the things that I don't think I've never learned, it was to listen to my body. I always pushed my body, thinking that, I can beat it, but listen to your body. I now sleep like 14 hours a day, and I just, thank gosh, I listen to my body. We have this symbiotic relationship, my body and I now, and each one of my organs has their own opinion about how things are going, and we don't like you, and so here's how we think about that. And so listen to your body would be one of my biggest advice.
And for young girls out there?
Do your monthly breast exams. Don't smoke. Take very good care of yourself, and demand to be the kind of treatment that you want. Take control of your own health care. Demand it. When someone tells you no, that's unacceptable. That's simply unacceptable. And so be that patient. That patient. That everyone talks about in the offices. Yeah, be that patient. Because that's, personally, I feel the only way to get what you want, to get what you deserve in healthcare.
And hopefully you can have the good, great positive attitude that you can just feel. We can just feel it come from you.
Thank you.
And it's a very important part of making it through cancer treatment.
Yeah, it is. And my support system, they're amazing.
Yes.
My support system is phenomenal. They're the best. And without them, some days I don't know what's going to happen, how I'm going to feel. So,
well, you are a true champion, and you inspire us all.
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.